Hello everybody, it's me, Spikezilla Productions, and today we are taking a look at the rest of my custom Playmates Monsterverse action figures that I've made. These are a combination of Playmates and Jack specific figures, so if you see Mothra or Rodan in this video, that is why. So, first, let's move all of these aside to look at one of the first customs I did, which was Kong. He was made around the same time I made this first Godzilla. You can even see that in the first custom showcase video I did. So, for Kong, all I really did was give him a subtle black wash on the back, and I painted his axe. His axe was actually, if you look at that older video, the axe was initially entirely painted, but over time it scraped off. But I kind of like the way it looks now. It kind of looks more, the bone paint is the only thing that's scratched off. The blue paint really hasn't, which is good. But what I really like is that the scuffed up paint actually makes it look worn and used and old, which is kind of the idea of Kong's axe. Other than that, though, the only thing else that was changed on this guy was the battle damage, which is now reveals a nice, nasty, freshly red wound, and on the inside we get a more fleshy detail. Well, for size comparisons, even though I already showed this just now, here is Godzilla. Here he is next to Godzilla. And here he is next to Godzilla. Yeah. As you could tell, Kong basically is the same. He has the same universal shoulders, universal elbows, swivel wrists, swivel head, universal hips, and bending knees. Oh yeah, I do want to point out, these scars were initially a red Sharpie, and I do plan to go back and fix that. It's just gone away as of recent. But yeah. Next up, the second ever custom that I've made, Mechagodzilla. Now, as you could tell, Mechagodzilla looks very different from the normal Playmates release, and that's because I essentially got a bunch of silver paint and I just put it all over him. But made sure to miss the eyes and the mouth. And yeah, articulation on all these is the same. I should specify there's been no customization to the articulation of the figures. However, this guy not only has silver, but he also has some instances of black to kind of make him look like he is worn down and used. He also has some red lights across here, across the side of his body, and he has a battle damage which reveals the points in which fuel would be inserted into his body. It should be mentioned that I also did these with red Sharpie to kind of make them look more vibrant, because they got lost in the silver paint. And I also used red Sharpie on the chest. Yeah, articulation is the same. Universal shoulders, universal hips, bending knee, swivel, ball joint, universal hinge, swivel, universal. Well, not really universal. These are technically swivel hinges. but they look like a ball joint. This also is an instance of where a joint was entirely colored on this guy to make it look like, well, the arms are moving around so much that they might as well have a bunch of scraped metal on the inside. And he does have a custom accessory I made. This is his custom heat ray effect piece. It is done with a red Sharpie over top. I know it looks purple, but this is red. And pretty much, yep, there we go. Now he's shooting out his proton scream. The next custom that I worked on was Rodan. So Rodan here looks a lot more screen accurate. He has a black wash over his entire body, and he has the magma trails on the end of his wings. He also has painted claws, a painted beak, and crests, and even toe claws. I do plan to go back over the toe claws eventually to make them look better. But yeah, he has pinned wings, rotation at the leg, and a swivel at the head. Now, the next one I did was the skull crawler. This one I actually did some slight adjustments to today, such as painting the elbow spikes and the claws a brighter shade of a nasty mustard yellow. And this thing she also has a layer of gloss over a lot of her paint, so that way she looks wet, because if you didn't know, canonically in the Monsterverse lore, skull crawlers are closely related to salamanders. So yeah, inside the mouth is nice and red. Same goes with the roof. And then the skull is that nasty yellow color that the skull crawler had in the film. And of course the red stripe going all the way down. For the normal one, I think it stopped right about here. But what I did is that I continued to the tip of the tail. Yeah. We'll say my less impressive custom is Mothra. Now Mothra here, she does have a stand, but this actually belongs to a broken NECA Mothra I have, but I use it for her when she's on my shelf. I have her like this. So what I customized on her was I did her mouth. Let's try to get a look at. So she does have a new mouth. She has a painted mouth. She has all the claws are painted black, but she also has red as well on her body. And then she has black on the wings as well, because the original Mothra, these were just brown pieces of plastic. And nothing was changed to the decals, and of course, articulation is the same. Ball joint at the wings. Yeah, she does also have some red striping on her little bug butt right there, on her little... And she also has a painted stinger as well. Yeah, that's kind of it for Mothra. She's not that impressive, unfortunately. Next one I did was my Warbat, or Nozuki, or whatever you want to call this thing. Now, I will say, the stand I had for this broke, and this thing sits in a bucket currently, so he is a little out of shape, so he kind of leans a lot. I tried fixing it by bending the body back, and all it really does is want to go back to the warped position. But yeah, The paint job is actually this time a more creative color where I added sort of like a greenish wash to it, because in the film they did have this sort of greenish brown tone to them. But so I did leave some of that brown plastic still inside, and I actually also did the inside of the mouth and also the roof, I believe. Yeah, I did. The wings can flap, the body can still swivel, and the tail can still swivel. Now, this battle damage was also painted as well. Battle damage on this one's hard to get to. Nothing was done on the actual piece on this itself, but the inside of the wing I did do. So, yeah, I made it actually look like a piece of ripped off skin. So let me just reattach that. And oh yeah, forgot to show you this on Skullcrawler. Yeah, very nasty look. There. Now this one I did today. This is my custom Scar King. So the only Scar King I have is the 2-pack Scar King. And as you can see, I decided to add more red to him, and I added a lighter red, a yellowish red to the sort of like an orange, and I did also leave some straight up orange as well. Kind of look like it's like graying fur pretty much. But yeah. So the whip slash also has some paint to it. It's the same yellow that I used on the Skullcrawler. So like I wanted to make it look like that bone color. So yeah, I will say this much though: the skull part on the Skullcrawler real fast was done with a different technique for the head, and it was a yellow marker pretty much on the gray plastic. Well, the light gray paint. But with Scar King, I mixed some red and that yellow to get the dry brush effect on the back. It doesn't come out too well on camera, with the exception of areas like the shoulders. Like, you can definitely tell that there's some more red in there. And I even added a bit of red on the pectorals, because it's meant to kind of look like red war paint, but this is meant to look like it's been aged, and so it's like starting to come off. I did also do the war paint on the arms as well, but I made it look more sloppy because I figured that these are apes, and I figured it'd be kind of cool to show like they aren't perfect like the original paint job shows. But yeah, everything's the same. Shoulders, elbow, wrist, elbow, shoulder, torso, hip, knee, hip, knee. And then now the whip, like I said, has the whip slash has the same coloration going on. Has the same color, has like this as the same yellow coloration as the Skullcrawler. So for this, I wanted it to look aged, but not in the same way that the axe looks aged. Because this is a constant in-use weapon. This weapon hadn't been used for thousands, if not millions of years. So yeah. And yes, it still fits in his hand. So, I'm not going to do size comparisons because these things are 6 inches. Like, they're meant to be like 6-inch scale figures. Not to mention I did size comparisons with Kong, and well, you can just, yeah, they're like 5 to 6 inches tall, with Mothra having a 7-inch wingspan, I believe, because she is bigger than Godzilla wingspan wise. This goes for all the Godzillas and all of them. That she is like wide, but if any of them is the widest, I'd have to say it's Rodan. Yeah, so that is today's look at the rest of my custom Monsterverse action figures. If you would like to, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye!